Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Today I have my friend Yogi, who is really inspiring. He left his $1 million job at Facebook to pursue his passion, a man who has really taken risk in his life. So I would love to introduce Yogi to you. Yogi, why don't you share your story that what motivated you to leave your role? I am sure you enjoyed that as well, and to try something different.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Surbi. For leaving leaving a role that was really lucrative. I think, to be honest, it was in the beginning, it was just I was burned out, and it was hard to kind of keep going. I worked at Facebook for six and a half years, and then technically I didn't have a job. I mean, the Facebook job was not a $1 million job. I got a job offer that was $1 million, and I let go of that one and didn't take that one. And that was a really hard decision, especially because I grew up in lower middle class India, and that kind of money is what my dad made. Half of that my dad made in the whole lifetime. Right? It's hard to let go of that kind of a job and security that comes with that job. And you asked about decision process. Decision process was that's one of the hardest decision I made in my life, actually,
Okay.
to let go of that job. I made a lot of other decisions, but like the stakes were so high for that one. And yeah, it's one of the hard decisions. I'm so glad I made that decision. For a few months after that decision, I I had some panic. I did wake up at night like sweaty, and this
Oh
is the
my
right
God,
thing I
that's
did.
so much.
But like a lot of thought had gone into it, so I was able to go back to this, not mind, but I had written down why I left that job, and I
Okay,
would go and read that, because otherwise my mind get crazy.
I
And
hear you.
so it
Yeah.
was very helpful. In computer science, there's this idea called memorization.
Mm-hmm.
So I just write it up and then read that, instead of like going through in my head why I left the job,
To
why I
remind
left.
yourself the rationale behind that. Yeah, it totally, because sometimes you are like, your mind is clouded with one kind of thoughts if you are in that particular situation and you overlook the other trade-offs that you made at the time. Totally makes sense. I would love to know, like you mentioned that you had been through some other riskier decisions in the past. If you're open to sharing, were they in the professional part of the side, like your world, or different, or you meant to say that even if you do anything else, whether it's personal, professional, that carries the resilience and helps you to make better decisions going forward?
So a lot of those decisions were, one decision I made was to 6 7 years prior to that, I said no to Facebook job to take a teaching job in University of Waterloo.
Okay.
And that was a huge, they're also letting go of money to follow my passion of teaching at the time. So that was also a hard decision I made. Another, personally made a few decisions. For example, like when I was choosing different schools for PhD, those are hard decisions. Also at the time, that seemed very hard. But looking back, either one would have been okay. It's just that at the time, it seemed like, oh, that's
I
a hard
agree. I hear
decision.
you. I was.
Actually, another hard decision was when after my IIT first year, I entered there as a mechanical engineer, and I had an option of changing branches, changing majors, and everybody said computer science is the way to go. Computer science is like very, it's the top of the
Yeah.
job demand and all that. And I wanted to do electrical engineering. So there was a decision. I ended up doing computer science, but there's a decision, hard decision at the time. I
Oh my
ended up
God, you're
not.
so relatable, Yogi. I think you must be in the same era when I was doing my engineering, because those two decisions to decide the engineering college, I ended up changing my college. Just sharing the personal story, after like I went to a college for various reasons, changed, and the branch also, the reason for the change was branch as well, like because I mean, everybody was like, how the heck you had such a good rank and you didn't take computer science? And I
Yeah.
was not getting computer science in RECs at the time. I got electronics, and I feel like looking back, that would have been really good as well. But everyone was like, oh, you have to take IT or computer
Yeah,
science.
I think there's very strong like
Yeah,
social pressure,
yeah,
like from my
yeah, from
brother,
both
from my
sides.
family. The
Yeah.
computer science is the way to go. I actually put in my like in the Dropbox, you have to put a paper. I actually put with electrical engineering. And then I went back to talk to the back office, like, no, I want to do computer science. And I'm so glad I did it, actually, looking back.
No, I can totally relate that, because I was like, everybody in my city knew, oh, this is the girl who changed her college just for the branch. And yeah, I did like a lot of, like, I talked with everybody I knew, like from this perspective, what is good, what is like, what should I do? And information technology was a new branch at the time, so there were like a lot of perspectives on that as well. But anyways, jumping back to your story, so like you mentioned, then from like you knew or you didn't know, like what are you gonna do next? You, like when you were in that decision, like did you know that you're gonna leave Facebook, but did you know what you're gonna do next, or was it like,
I actually did not know what I wanted to do.
okay,
For me, it was, I just wanted to take some time off.
mm-hmm.
And really what I wanted to do was to find something I love doing.
Oh, so that's
I loved technology. I loved math. I loved computer science. And I had grown to like software engineering. I was decent. I'm not a stellar engineer. I'm not a bad engineer. I was somewhere middle of the run of the mill. And I wanted to do something I really loved doing. And I left Facebook job and that $1 million job to do nothing, to travel, to learn Spanish, to do a bunch of one-way flights to Barcelona and Prague and just Europe trip. And
a
little bit like that. I mean, minus the romance.
But it's personal question. Were you single at the time? Was it like there was any family?
No, I was with my then girlfriend, now wife. So I was.
She was supportive, I'm guessing.
She was supportive, yeah. I mean, I think she has been my bedrock for all these decisions. I mean, for somebody to leave $1 million job and be somebody like your partner being supportive, without that I could have done it, but it'll not be as fun of a journey. And I think she made it fun. So she has been very supportive in all this.
That's awesome. That's really nice to know. So like you shared your fears and challenges after doing that decision. Was there something before the decision as well? Because I'm sure somebody like you, who I know a bit, like very rational, won't just say, like people say, oh, quit your job, travel to the world, like travel around the world for 2 years, and then many of the folks regret, right? Like they waste their money without any plans. So what was your like backup plan, or how did you mitigate some of the risks?
I actually know people who leave their jobs and within a few months they get back to jobs.
Right.
Because it's hard. I mean, for me also, I had panic attacks. I don't know if they're panic attacks clinically, but I was waking up sweaty in the middle of the night. Like, oh, is this the right thing? And I would.
For how long that continued?
About 3 months.
Okay.
So, a while. And not every day, but a few times it happened over those 3 months. And a lot of times you would just go back to, let's just, I still had that job that I didn't take. It was.
You interviewed, basically, your story.
I interviewed, and then I got a job offer. Actually, that's an interesting story also. I got a job offer that was somewhere like $350K or something. Okay. And I negotiated the job offer to over $1 million.
And at the time you had no plan to leave, or it was after that you had the job offer, you thought of leaving?
I was still contemplating. I didn't know I will take or not take, but I was in the limbo.
So you anyways were thinking you want to leave Facebook, maybe try another job.
Yes.
And you got the job and you're like, let me just sign up for freedom altogether.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that negotiation journey was also led me towards now what I call the career coaching journey, because it's really powerful how much we leave on the table when we're talking to people. We have a hard time, having hard conversations, difficult conversations, negotiating and all that. So I do a lot of coaching around that.
Yeah, and I think the power comes when you don't, like, when you are ready to leave, right? That is also
ready to leave and ready to leave. And a lot of time we make these negotiation, hard conversations about, forceful, but force doesn't work all the time. You gotta also have heart in the conversation, and then you can actually.
I wish I should have contacted you sometime before.
Yeah. Well, glad we are connected now.
Okay. So, what backup plan you had in mind, as you said that
Yeah,
when?
so actually, the journey of finding something I love doing didn't. I left the job in 2017, but the journey started well before that, 2014 or so.
Mhm.
Three and a half years before that. But I also knew that I'm not in a place that I can, leave and then leave for good. So there's a lot of planning involved, 3.5 years of planning involved about what I can do to actually make this leaving sustainable. If I leave as a knee-jerk reaction, I mean, I haven't thought through stuff, and then I might have to come back because things are not going well. So that planning really helped. And my back plan was I didn't actually leave the job for good. I took a 6 to 18 month break.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 6 to 18 month break, and then I would have decided what I would want to do at the end of that break. And that, half a year become 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 year, 3 year, now 5 year, closing to 6 years now. So it's
That's
actually
awesome.
growing and growing.
And
But
what's the framework you mentioned you took? Sorry, I interrupted you. Like the framework you used to plan that. Can you share with us?
so the framework to plan was just mostly financial. Like,
Okay.
do I have enough resources to go by sometime? And then usually the big insight I had that really helped me leave the job was a lot of times, the two. Can I draw something here?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Usually when
That
we
would be
do,
interesting.
okay, I want to do something I love doing.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, oh, if today were the last day of your life, what would you do? So the very left is the today is the last day, enjoy the life. And that's not sustainable because, today is not the last day most of the time, and it just doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
That's the zero. Other end is like 100 years. Like if you were to live up to not even 100, like, we'll maybe have cyborg, and we'll have like, some sort of a like artificial intelligence in
Today
us.
I was reading some Google ex-scientists were saying you can live for 200 years.
Yeah. So let's say we were to live forever. Do I have enough resources to last all that? That's very stressful decision because I mean, we don't even know, how the market is and where money is, and
Too much.
things can go bankrupt, and what happens.
Right.
So a lot of people are here like, okay, I need to really make sure my retirement is settled, and there's no way I will.
Like I know some, spirituality says people think I am immortal, right?
Yeah. So what helps me is to come up with a middle ground. I came up with 5 years.
Okay.
Will I do this if I had 5 years left in my life? And my answer was resounding no.
Like your current job.
Your current job.
And what made you choose 5 years, not 50 years?
5 years is, so it's short enough that, it's short enough that I can see a little bit into a few years into the future, but long enough that if I, let's say, did do something which turned out to be a stupid, bad decision, I can actually, it will take me a year or two to figure out that decision. Maybe a year or two more for me to get up from that, shambles, and then get back into a job. So 5 years is long enough to actually, pick myself together and do something with my life.
Short enough that you still are in the market makes sense.
Yes, I can actually get back in the market. Now, if I wanted to get to software job, it'll take me, I don't know, 6 months to maybe 6 months, a year to actually get into a good job, and then another year or two to get back up to where I really belong. Because in the beginning, people don't know right now, like, oh, what I can do, what I can't do. So I might get whatever job, and then eventually get back up to where I want to go.
So you are not, so basically your framework is you would think that you would be living for 5 years and plan like that, not like unlimited life for today. I like that, because the way I try to portray is like, I like to say that I live in the moment, but not live for the moment, which is very different, because then you don't plan like, oh, it's my life for the moment and I don't know what is going to happen tomorrow, but still I want to enjoy every moment with some thoughtfulness. So I like the framework, very interesting.
And the 5 years, I actually worked with people. Some people prefer 2 years, right? Because they are they can get back up and get going in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Some people need really 10 years.
Depending on the risk appetite,
And all
visa
that.
status, and
And
so many other things.
Yeah, exactly. Visa status. And so, 10 years, I think if you give 10 years, you can actually, even if the visa status, you can go back, do a job for a year and get back on L1. All that stuff can happen within 10 years. If you're picking less than 1 or 2 years, I think that's too short.
That's like a gamble. Then you're not giving 100% shot also.
Yeah, even if you're really, really good, sometimes interview can go bad. It might take a while to get back to something that is good, that you like doing. So I think 2 to 10 years. But for me, once I had this question, will I do this if I had 5 years left in my life? I remember I was interviewing in an interview room, conference room with a glass wall, looking out into a garden, and I smiled and say, heck no, I'm done. I still finished the interview, but I said, I'm not going to do the job anymore.
Awesome. What a liberation. I can totally feel it. But so tell me, what framework you chose? Like you must have a framework to choose what you want to do next. Or it's like, how do you find your free will? Or how would you suggest somebody, like for our listeners, to find what they want to do? Because many people think, when I talk to people for podcasts, they feel like they have a lot of passions. Like I used to think I am like maybe master of none, but jack of many different things. But it's hard to be jack, and because maybe we are thriving in our career, and then just to be a jack and try, like maybe I could become a singer or something, and I may not be the best. So how to really pick something that is, of course, bringing joy and still passionate, because you are passionate about, and of course you're not like...
I actually don't have a framework, to be honest. I now, I love coaching, I love talking to people, but it's not something I believe this is the only thing I'll ever do in my life.
Okay.
I think this is a very big piece of the puzzle I found. Like this is a big piece of the puzzle, talking to people, helping people in their career, life, relationship, all that stuff. I think it's a very important part of my career journey, but that's not it. I think there'll be something more will be there. So if anything, the framework I pick is, I can see myself enjoying this for the next few years.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe 5 years. I've not thought about exact 5 years there, but what happens after that, I don't know. For example, right now people talk a lot about, in 10 years, 85% of the job that will be there in 10 years, they are not there even today. I don't know.
That was true a decade ago, right?
So the thing is, I don't know what I want to do in 10 years, because what I want to do might not be even there. Or 10 years ago, I could not have thought that I would be enjoying talking to people like that, or having deep conversation with people. That just not was in my purview. I could not have planned that.
I agree with you.
It's actually going with the flow a little bit, but then giving whatever you pick, give it like year 2, 3, 4, a couple years before you get into the groove of it to see if you like it. Because in the beginning, either it's exciting, everybody likes that, or it's just hard and you don't like it. So to get to the real gist of things, like, do you really are good at this? Does people want it? And you are enjoying it or not? This just takes some time.
So did that trial like before or after quitting everything? Because you said you didn't know.
Yeah, so for me, I left in 2017. I traveled, I was learning Spanish. I was pretty conversational in Spanish at the time. And I went to Spain, spent like a few weeks there doing Spanish immersion. And then what I did was...
I forgot Estas, yeah.
Hablo español un poquito. So that's all I speak Spanish a little bit. That's what I say. But many people don't know. One of the reasons for leaving job was also I had chronic pain. I had pain in my left leg. Was there for like 10, 11 years. I counted about 60 practitioners in US, ranging from mom and pop, like physical therapist to physical therapy and neurosurgery and all that.
The best.
Also, like what is it called? Mayo Clinic. I went to Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, to like the topmost clinic, to see, okay, if they can figure something out. but nothing. And 60 places in US, 20 practitioners in India. So 80 people I went through in like over a period of 6-7 years, and nothing seemed to fix that, right? And then that was also my priority. Like, I wanna get back to my health. So part of the reason was I was traveling, but I also doing various. I went to India, stayed in a Ayurvedic ashram for a whole 1 month. They did whatever they do. They don't do work directly on the pain, but the whole body. And my pain was tremendously affected by that. So while I was in that ashram, it's mostly medical ashram. It's not like spiritual kind of stuff. It's mostly medical, but Ayurvedic medical. There I was talking to this is a year and a half after I left the job. I was talking to somebody, and they were a founder in Bangalore, but the startup was based in Bangalore and Palo Alto, kind of some founders here, some founders there. And she was saying how she feels underappreciated. People don't listen to her much, and she's not assertive. And
as a founder?
As a founder, yeah. I think there's a lot of like, I guess, animosity there. And not animosity, I guess. It was a lot of just, I mean, she was a woman and other founders were men. So that might have played a little bit of role also, a little bit. So we talked about some strategies, some mindset you could work on.
So that was your first experience coaching somebody, I'm guessing.
I didn't know that, but then what happened was a week later, she came back and told me, oh, she got a 50% raise. And from like, basically she negotiated some stocks and more money with the founders, and also kind of started to work on something different than what she was working on. And then a week later, she came back again and said she got 20% more raise on top of that, because she was like, we talked a little bit more and how she was feeling. So in total, 80% raise in like through that conversation. And then he asked me, can you work with me? Can I work with you? I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, we talked. And she said, no, people do coaching and I would love to be coached by you. So I didn't know coaching. And so that was my experience. And what I did was, so this is the trial part. I thought, I would love to do this because I love doing this, with talking to people and helping this way. But I wasn't sure, I'm cut out for this or this is a fluke. So I wanted to do a trial. I did actually about 5 months I coached like 8 to 10 people with some commitment to like, okay, you show up to coaching calls. And that trial went very well. I did it free of cost, but I made people sure that you commit to actually coming, because if there's no money involved, people disappear at times. So I had a couple of experience of those also. People disappeared because so that was kind of in my own head, my proof that this is impactful. And then I went professional from there. So that was the story. I didn't know I wanted to do coaching. It just it fell in my lap that way.
Thank you, Yogi. This is amazing. I really enjoyed listening to your journey, and I hope our listeners are encouraged that sometimes it's just like, listen to your inner fire, your like maybe purpose of life is calling you. I would love to have more conversations with you. Let's schedule like, I would love to hear the second part of your journey. But I think for today,
also like from there, like what I do on a day-to-day basis to actually strengthen that fire, because it's not just like you make a decision. I mean, these decisions are actually, you commit to them every day. Otherwise, it just, you dissipate. So we can talk more about that.
Absolutely, in episode 2. Thanks everyone, and thanks Yogi so much for really going into the backdrop of your story and decision making. It is so inspiring.
And I would love to hear from your listeners if they want to hear about something specific more. I'm happy to share more. Like, my life is pretty much an open book. One of my declarations is I'm an open book. I don't want to I have nothing hidden. So I would love to share anything.
Definitely love to hear from audience, and then can cater to the content like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvie. Thank you for having me.